Hello and welcome back to Proactive New York. I'm Christine Corrado. With me right now is Steve Powless, CEO at Computer Services. Steve, it's great to meet you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Steve, if you could give our investor audience an introduction to the company.
Yeah, CSI is a kind of a unique fintech provider in providing services to community banks and other businesses across the U.S. and in 22 countries. This past year in March, we celebrated our 55th year in business in this space. We have about a little over 1,200 employees in 21 offices and serve about 3,000 clients across the U.S. And our market share in the community banking space is about 8%. We offer a full product line, everything from core processing to digital solutions to payments to cybersecurity and internet to managed services, document distribution services. So kind of the whole gamut across the financial industry spectrum. And as you probably looked, we have a fairly remarkable record in our financial performance. We've had 20 consecutive years of revenue growth. We've had 23 years of earnings growth, 49 consecutive years of raising our dividend. We are a dividend paying company, have about a 98% retention rate on our clients, and we currently sit as about the fourth largest in our space, competing against some of the bigger giants in our industry. So that's kind of in the way of a background, a little intro on CSI and what we do.
Yeah, you mentioned 3,000 clients. Who are some of those better known clients, if you can disclose those?
Well, a lot of them are in community banks. Some that you'll recognize, Centaur Bank, which is a bank in Indiana, which is one of our largest customers, was recently ranked by Forbes as ranked number 10th in the nation. So not a name that's well known, but certainly an outstanding institution. We do business with Huntington Bank, Professional Bank in Coral Gables, Florida, Banterra Bank, which is in Indiana, Roundout Savings Bank in Kingston, Ohio, or Kingston, New York, which is not but a couple hours from you all. But the names that people would recognize is that we also in our regulatory compliance business and process for money service businesses such as Google and Facebook and Uber, Stripe, eBay. We do some in the insurance industry with some of our products, which would include Hartford, probably 25 or 30 Blue Cross and Blue Shield offices. We have some business in the logistics area with DHL and Uber and others. And so some of those names are probably more recognizable than some of the community banks.
Well, talking about some of your services, can you maybe talk a bit about how you differentiate from your peers in that way?
We like to say that, we are in a unique position, kind of this cross section of technology and service and a customer first approach. And in reality, in the market today, there's a lot of great technology that exists and a lot of providers. And much like any of the services that you're familiar with, you differentiate on service. And if you can make that the focal point, everyone migrates to quality service, and that has always been the strength of CSI and something that we continue to do today, and make that a key focus of being a differentiator. And if you can do that, you can differentiate in a market that is full and has a lot of technology available.
Well, that does seem to have served you well, as according to your Q1 revenues, we saw those rise to a record $70.6 million. What kind of services are banks and other financial institutions seeking out right now during the pandemic, and how did you manage to grow despite being in the pandemic?
That's a good question. Our companies continue to grow during the pandemic. I think we've added 50 or 60 people during it, and certainly when things first started unraveling in early March and we're quarantining and forcing people to work from home, a lot of banks we're looking for VPN secure connections to have their employees being able to connect to the bank in order to be able to service customers in a working from home environment. We saw a huge surge in the number of institutions who needed VPN connections to go to their customers, and then of course really all things digital really exploded as well, where people weren't able to go into branches and facility. Those individuals that were not using a lot of the digital banking services began using them because that was the only way to really stay in contact with the bank. So those two items themselves and really our Q1 of our fiscal year, really March, April, and May were pretty significant, very heavily in the early stages of that. The other part is that kind of the nature of our business model is that it's based on recurring revenue. So there was a considerable backlog of business that came in from the prior year that was converted during that first quarter, which also helped to boost our revenues.
So as we move towards year end, are you expecting this traction to continue?
Well, we hope so. There's still a lot of uncertainty. Everybody's waiting to see, when we will have some solutions in the markets and vaccines that are available, and when we'll cycle out of it. We have continued to see pretty strong activity in the banks. Obviously, some of them picked up PPP loans, and so the community banks process those loans. So that's been a source of business. We're continuing to see, institutions that are looking to, in order to stay competitive, even during this time, people still have to maintain and have financial services. And so the nature of the business is such that those services have to be provided, and banks have to continue to remain competitive in their markets. And so to do that, then they'll be purchasing products and services. The other side is that as they're trying to also improve their margins, they're looking for products that help drive efficiencies in their institutions. So as you see a lot of this now as it relates to branches, and will branches continue in their form, or will they go to more automated teller machines and ITMs and other devices to serve the customers without necessarily staffing the brick and mortar branches? So it's going to be interesting to see how it comes out. If anything, the one drop that you see in this market is in the overall volume of transactions that are happening, the debit card transactions in the industry, because everybody was pretty locked down for a while. That's starting to come back. That's one of those uncontrollables, and we continue to watch it gradually increase as students go back to school, and they're obviously big users of debit cards, and others are now out in the market shopping and doing, and restaurants are opening and doing those services. So that's one area that's trailing a little bit. And so we expect that will pick up as well. So,
well, wishing you the best of luck, Steve. Thanks so much for the time today.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed being with you.